What started with Bill's banana hammock turned into Back Alley Kitty and evolved into the weirdest sex trilogy ever made, has the weirdest Act 3 we've ever done. Anyone's ever done.
Hold on to your ranch. Welcome back, friends, foes, and people who clicked on this by accident.
And if you're new here, first off, sorry, but welcome. You've stumbled onto Beer Me That Movie, the podcast where we take ridiculous beer names and turn them into even more ridiculous movie ideas.
That's right. We're basically screenwriters, if screenwriters were fueled by bad ideas and good beer. I'm Harrison.
And I'm John. And this week is a feature episode where we take one of the beers from last week's Fast Five episode and turn it into a full-length cinematic roller coaster. Which beer, you ask?
Great question. No idea. Seriously, we picked it from our last Fast Five, and that was like a week ago.
Just kidding. It's Muffin from the... Sorry. I just love saying it. It's called Muffin on the Backside, made by Funktastic Beer. I've never been more excited to make a movie and to finish the surprise sex comedy trilogy we started in 2025 with Bill's Banana Hammock.
That's right. I can't believe we're here. And to make things even spicier, we're throwing in a new feature, the midpoint mashup. So at some point in the second act, we'll pull a random prompt designed to derail whatever ridiculous story we've got going on.
It's chaos for your ears and probably for our sanity. But hey, that's why you're here, right? Just to see how far we can push these ideas before they completely collapse.
Speaking of bad ideas, if you missed last week's Fast Five, you don't need to worry about catching up. There's no homework here, just vibes and probably some trauma.
So grab a drink, lower your expectations, and get ready for tonight's feature presentation. Harrison, are we ready to disappoint our families one more time?
I was born ready. Let's do it.
If you're enjoying this cinematic chaos, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss next week's Fast Five, where we'll dig through more of the beers you check in on Untapped in search of movie magic, or at least something entertaining.
And we want to hear from you. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Think you could do better? I think you could do better. Leave us some cut feedback. We're curious and maybe a little scared.
Honestly, your version might make more sense. And if it does, we're familiar enough with the way movies work to steal your idea and give you special thanks in the credits.
Drop a comment, send us a voicemail, a DM. Your best takes might just get a shout out in next week's recap. So don't hold back. We thrive on your validation, but mostly your insults. Either way, let's roll into our 23rd feature film, Muffin on the Backside. Buckle up.
It's time for Act 1.
So here we are in Act 1 with one of the funnest. We've been doing great this year. Back Alley Kitty was a fun name. Bill's Banana Hammock was our last one from 2024. And now we're into Muffin on the Backside, which
Muffin on the Backside.
If you're not smiling when you say it out loud as you listen to this podcast, say Muffin on the Backside. And tell me you didn't just laugh. So it's a fun thing to, my first thought was it's a person with a lot of butt muff.
Yeah.
And then Harrison turned that into a movie. So Harrison, will you continue catching everyone up from, okay, what's the premise behind this? Who is Muffin? What is Muffin?
And so I was going to say, so Muffin's going to be a human. There's a lot of, as always, innuendos abound. So if you think we're trying to say something, we probably are. And then some. So yes, so Muffin is a human lady who has definitely got some muffin on the backside, some junk in the trunk, some caboose in her papoose. I don't know.
That's actually pretty good. I don't know. A papoose is like one of those baby carriers.
Sure. Maybe the papoose is in her caboose then. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
She's got a donk?
Yeah, she's got a badonk. A donk. I hope so.
She got donk.
She does have donk. She's got plenty of donk.
I said that out loud.
I'm not. Yeah, and so yeah, we're gonna jump right into the first act. So Muffin, a lovable, likable character, kind of like Girl Next Story, but again with tons of papoose in her caboose or whatever.
Like the girl next door that you never get.
Yeah,
Not
exactly
the
right.
61-year-old divorcee who
Right.
still dresses like the girl next door.
No, yeah, not her. Also, probably not like the cheerleader captain that's next door. The girl, maybe that's behind your house. Maybe she, I don't know, man, does a lot of exotic dancing in her free time.
So we're not living in a gated community.
Yeah. So Muffin is going to live in this place. We're just called 17th Street. It's the bad part of town. And I think like coming up, she just lives in an orphanage. So let's really, yes, an orphanage. They still exist. There are still just houses full of children running around.
On 17th Street, there's an orphanage.
That's right.
How many, is this an orphanage with like 6 kids and a sexy nun?
They need to be more than one sexy nun. I'm imagining like a giant orphanage filled with maybe hundreds of kids.
Oh, so it's like a business orphanage.
It's madness. It's very Oliver Twist, but on steroids.
They buy their gruel from U.S. Foods.
Yeah, they have to. They buy the gruel in bulk at this orphanage. That's right. So they're bringing it in by the truckload.
None of the kids have ever seen a small size can of peas. It's all
right. It's
number
all,
10 cans of gruel.
Right. That's right. They measure things in vats, not pounds. And so, so this is Muffin's life, chaos at this orphanage. She's there on the bad part of town. So people aren't really finding foster homes. No one's going to the craziest orphanage in the world to try to find a kid. Unfortunate, but that's the reality Muffin's living in. And so it's kind of known that like, if you're not, don't have a family, not broken out of the orphanage by 18, you got to get a job. You're an adult. Technically, I think she could like go free from the orphanage, but you need to pay for your life, so you need a job.
How old is Muffin that she's still in this orphanage, this business orphanage?
Goodness gracious. I mean, I guess she should be 18 at least.
Okay, cool. I think I agree. Based on the Fast 5 review of this beer, Muffin is legally 18.
If not a little bit older.
So it's an orphanage, but then it can transition into like a halfway house.
I was going to say, and yeah, obviously people don't, you got to find a job. They're not kicking people out on the streets when they're 18. So maybe she's 20, 21, something like that.
But there's a lot of disparity in this town. There's like,
yes,
you live on 17th Street or you live in like the landfall community.
Exactly. The gated community with the walls and the country club and everything's manicured lawns and hedges and everyone wears too much tan and taupe, which
would make it really hard for someone from the orphanage to go any other place, I'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of stuck in this island of despair, surrounded by a world you'll never really get in, and maybe at best you can work at the country club where all these people who live in this goofy community spend most of their time. I don't know what their jobs are. I don't know how they make money.
Military recruiters love this orphanage.
Right.
They're there twice a day.
Right. Gotcha. We got to fight that war with West Eurasia that we started last episode.
I can't sign you up. You're only 13, but
we'll be back.
I do need the credit, so come to our early delayed entry program.
Yeah, that's right. Do some jumping jacks and we'll call and sign this piece of paper. Okay. So yeah. So she's looking for a way out. Muffin's like, I can't do this, but I know I need to make money. So she's trying jobs. And I imagine maybe she's kind of like, maybe trying jobs in the bad part of town, and it's just kind of bad, and more bad. And she shoots her shot. She's like, I'm going to go to the country club. They're hiring a dishwasher. She sees a sign posted on the outskirts of town that they're hiring, rushes to it, gets the job.
Every country club is looking for a dishwasher.
Always a lot of dishes.
You say there's no jobs in this country?
That's right.
Go to the country club and tell them you can clean 5 pans in 5 minutes.
That's right.
You'll be starting tonight.
That's what I did. I did that for a little while in my youth, in my younger days. You kind of do everything at a country club.
Have you ever golfed?
once.
Nice. That's a perfect answer.
Spent way more time right
In the
on
dish
the
pit.
line or just hosing down trays of food. After they were half eaten. So, yes, I know the backside of the country club life very well, John. This hits home to me. Maybe am I Muffin? No.
It is like it's like a community though. Like
Sure.
there are people that are country club members, and I imagine them going on their all-inclusive trips to the Bahamas or on a cruise, and they can recognize each other immediately. But then there's also like veterans, you know, like you see somebody with like oh yeah, I was in 10th Mountain. Oh yeah, I was, you know, like you see that camaraderie.
Sure.
I feel like the same thing exists with back of the house country club workers.
Oh yeah, if you got the uniform on and it's covered in grease stains or whatever, and you've had a hell of a day.
I'm not done yet. Lenny's got to order his 41 chicken tenders before he goes home.
Right, exactly.
Brings to the family to justify why he spends all day here.
Oh man, I'm having a lot of flashbacks. Most of them are good. Lots of laughs. Right when you're the help to a bunch of people who are disconnected from reality. That's how you get through the day. Lots of crazy golf cart adventures too. Drove a lot of those into a lot of lakes, John.
It's remarkably easy to do. There's no guardrails on a golf course by the lake. You just drive it. There it is.
Right. They don't need keys. You have a flathead screwdriver. A flathead screwdriver is the key in every golf cart in the world. Okay,
so Muffin has made it through the interview process, which I imagine was pretty lean.
Yeah, maybe a little surprisingly lean. Like no one else was there, and they were like, "Do you have hands? Do you know what water is?"
Exactly.
Great, you're hired.
Don't eat the food. If they send it back, it goes in the garbage. You don't eat anything.
Right. And so she's right. And so maybe she even had kind of sparkly eyes, starry eyes about this. Oh, the country club. Is this my break? Can I get out? And that's maybe like shafted right away. Like you're in the back of the house. Like you're the bottom rung. You're making garbage pay. You can look like a garbage person. You're gonna be covered in hot soap and like chicken bones and ketchup all day.
You're
and that's
going
your
to
life.
Stink when you come in, and you're going to stink worse when you leave. Exactly. I was a cook at 2 country clubs, and them as well as other kitchens, but there was the first country club I went to was the first time I learned this by a learned old chef, like a mentor from the old West. And he's like, go into the walk-in and grab the fish, and I'm bringing out this flounder, and there's a plate, like a little hot plate, and it's got this white powder in it. And I was like, oh, we get down in this kitchen, right? Like that is a lot of, oh, wait a minute. And I felt it, and it was cornstarch. And I'm like, I'll bring this out too. Maybe they dredge the fish in it, right? I know how to cook. So I bring it out, and he's like, what are you doing with that? Put that back in there. That stays cold. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know about keeping your dredge cold. He's like, that's not a dredge. It's a ball plate. So he explained to me that as a cook at the country club, one of my afforded benefits was I could go into the walk-in cooler and dip my balls in the cold cornstarch. But you could only dip once. You didn't double dip. That was cross-contamination.
Yeah.
Although we did all share the same plate. And you would dip your balls in that cold cornstarch to keep them dry while you were working and sweating on the line. And I remember the dishwasher was not allowed to use our cook's cornstarch. You did not. That was for cooks only.
Yep. Couldn't use the ball plate. Didn't even make it to the ball plate team. My God. Well, that sounds terrifying and amazing at the same time. I don't think we had a ball plate, but now that I'm thinking back, there might have been some plates with powder on it. I didn't know what they were. I just wasn't smart enough to ask.
Yeah, don't touch it with your hands.
Or try to serve it to someone, thank God, as far as I know. Seems like a lot of sugar.
We need to thicken this soup. We're going to have to use the ball starch.
Got it. I got a plate. I've been waiting for you guys to ask. I found this plate back in the back of the fridge and dumped it right in. Woo,
anyway,
salty.
some minor perks working on a hot kitchen line.
Yeah, exactly. Very minor, but a lot of memories.
Felt good.
It did. I'm sure it did.
Not for Muffin. You couldn't
No.
dip. There's nothing to dip.
Nothing to dip. Well, I mean, she could dip her muffin maybe, but she's not thinking about that. She's just trying to work hard, keep her head down, all that stuff. And so this goes on for a bit, and you know, again, the dream fades. The future she thought she might have doesn't really exist. She's not at the country club. She hasn't made it out of 17th Street. She just goes there, works her bones through her hands, and then she goes home and goes to bed, does it again. It's a rough life. Until something happens, John. Something's going to change for Muffin that'll send her life down a path that is going to change everything else in her life forever.
The universe works in mysterious ways.
That's right.
I'm envisioning there's going to be a masquerade ball where Muffin's able to dance with the members and lift cash from their pocket.
Not yet. Something similar to that, maybe?
Maybe Muffin's imagining that. She's like, if I just keep coming in, one of these guys that drives the Corvette, everyone has a fucking red Corvette.
They do.
They all drive them. They all have tinted windows and stock rims. And she's like, one of these days, one of these guys will notice me. I just need to get out in the front more. She's probably she's a little high. She's making $8 an hour.
Yeah.
Taxes are taking most of that. She's got enough money to buy an Android phone, but still live it at the orphanage.
Oh yeah. I mean, exactly right. That could be a good, every 2 weeks she just sits on her bed and cries looking at her check that's 34 cents after all the taxes came out. Yeah. He's just like, this is horrible.
You take out $15 for a meal, but I don't get any food. That's your fault, kid.
Gotta eat it while you can. They got tons of food coming at you in plates. Yeah, the other people ate and sometimes threw up on. It's a country club. It's crazy out there.
It's all chicken tenders. You don't eat anything good.
Bunch of 80-pound women drinking 19 margaritas before noon. It's mostly vomit I'm cleaning up. I can't eat any of this. All right.
So what is Muffin? What possibly does the universe have in store for our lovely little Muffin girl that's going to give her an opportunity? What does she get handed to her?
I think it kind of shows up in the form of something really common. Maybe we've all experienced one way or another, where the cart girl. So if you don't know, country club, golf course, cart girl is a big deal, which just means usually a pretty young lady pushing a beer cart around the golf course for people to buy beer from, who are out there hitting balls and hanging out. So, but it's a very sought after job because you make a ton of money because you're just selling, $15 Miller Lights all day and to a bunch of millionaires who are tipping you $50 every time they buy a beer. It could be great. So it's a sought after job. One that I think at this point Muffin's probably written off for her. However, one of the cart girls calls in sick one day. So Muffin's in the back, covered in sludge and soap and margarita vomit, just doing Muffin stuff in the zone. and her manager kind of runs in, looking around frantically.
I need a girl.
Exactly. I need a girl. Jolene called out, and just does a double take at Muffin and goes, looks around. That's his only option. And so he kind of comes up to her and maybe he's doing some making funny faces at her, like, I guess if the hair
hold your
was
arms
like
out.
this.
Hold your arms out. Twirl around for me.
That's right. Yeah. Take those huge gloves off and the hairnet off.
So I made it. I thought I'd get a member, but I'll get the manager. That at least I can move out to the suburbs.
Someone showing interest in me. Exactly. So anyway, he's like, all right, hit the showers. I got a uniform you can throw on. If you got makeup, put all of it on. Like, if not, find some chalk or some markers.
I'm gonna have Donna dress you up. I'm gonna have Donna she's like the old bartender. Donna's gonna make you look pretty.
Still smokes inside, Donna does.
Yes, exactly. They're Virginia Slims, they don't count.
Since 1986. All right, so that's great. But again, it all happens kind of quick, and now Muffin's off the dirty, gross, sink line, and maybe there's a glimmer of hope again in her life, and she's being rushed through some showers, hosed down, throws her hair up. Donna smacks some makeup on her face, puts on a tight tank top or something, and some tight pants, thrown in front of her cart, and just giving the simple directions of
this is like. For little Muffin,
yeah,
she's raised in an orphanage. Like Donna's like This is a pretty
There we go.
impactful moment.
She's a bit like a madam. She's
You-
Donna.
You might be feeling like Donna's your mom, but she is your madam
Yeah.
in this case. But Donna's making you pretty and showing you some things about being a female, like, hey, look, Toots, you got a lot of opportunity to haul some cash with this.
That's right.
Make sure butts and guts. That's what.
No blush, real women pinch.
Had
And she
to
just
rhyme.
grabs her cheeks as hard as she can.
I'll go to the kitchen, grab some saran wrap. I gotta wrap your titties up.
What's happening? I have a bra.
There's
on.
a difference between you making $12 an hour and $36 an hour, kid. Trust me.
Oh my God. So yeah, so Donna does whatever Donna does to Muffin. Sends her out, gives her the cart. You know the deal. You take the money, you give them the beer. Why don't you start in the 13th hole? They're usually thirsty by then, and they're off. And maybe the manager pretty like maybe low expectations, but again, a rock in a hard place. Got to keep the members happy, yada yada. And so Muffin heads out there, and she just goes probably a little scared, maybe a little excited. Doesn't know.
Sometimes
what to
excited
think.
and scared feel the same.
Absolutely.
But while you do have Donna kind of prepping you to look beautiful and stuff, I think she catches herself in the mirror and she's like, oh my God, all right, I look the part. I look like a cart girl. I can't believe what am I going to say to them? I love golf, stocks. What do I even talk about with them? She's kind of like breaking down in front of the mirror. What happens for Donna? Tell me the universe has a little nudge for her, a little, she finds some chapstick.
Right. Or he's maybe handed some chapstick by none other than the head cook.
Love it.
Who's been there for a while.
The cook is the captain of this ship.
Yes. So we could call him, what do you got as a cook name, John? You're always the name guy.
Okay, so the cook's name is Richard, but once you say it once, then he just goes by Dick.
Hey, that's my father's name. You can call me Dick. Right, Dick.
I don't know why that makes me laugh, but
it'll always make you laugh as well.
So
yeah,
Dick comes in.
Yes.
Dick offers some help. Doesn't it always if you're a female in 2025? I can help you out. Here's some Dick.
I'm ready to go.
But the cook in the back for her would be like, the cook is the rock. Like no matter how much pans and dishes and vomit margaritas you got, the cook's like, you got this, kid. Just keep going. You're doing great, kid. Here, come pick up this tray full of plates. I need new pots and pans.
That's right. Exactly. He's right. Exactly.
In this case, I like that he is. He's like, look, he's got to give her like kind of a maybe. What would the captain of a ship say to a young Muffin that's getting ready to go out to the country club? I guess he's not a captain of a ship,
but he basically is. I like that. He's also smoking Virginia Slims.
Yeah, I stole these from Donna. Don't say anything.
Say anything. We got a thing, but we can't talk about it. Or she gets wild. And I think Dick is just kind of like smiling, watching Muffin kind of look at herself in the mirror and have this kind of half panic attack moment. And hands her the chapstick. It's like, you got this, but remember, you're not one of them. You're from a different world. And just sucks on a cigarette and just fades to the darkness, or I don't know, like pushes her on the way, but offers that token of like, yes, this is exciting. Yes, it's sunshine and rainbows and crap out there, but it's all fake. It's all bullshit. And end of the day, you go sleep on a mattress on the ground in a room with 25 other people. Like, don't think this is changing your life. Like, all you're doing is just, giving them stuff, serving them what they want. This does not change anything. And so
charm them.
Yeah.
Charm them and take their money. That's what you're one of us, kid.
That's right. Never forget one of us. You'll be back on the line someday, shoveling puke.
They never come back. But maybe she sucks at this. Maybe there's a very good chance that it's not like you're not the right person for a cart girl. If you're a girl, you're the right person. But maybe she gets in her own head and she's like, I'm a 17th Street person. I can't talk to these people. Or maybe Dick's motivation is enough for her to kind of own her. Donna prettied her up. She's got saran wrap all over. Her titties are sweating all over. Maybe she's like, you know what? No, I'm going to hustle. I'm going to do this and I'm going to get some money and I'm going to get up out of the orphanage.
Exactly right. No one knows the struggles that Muffin goes through better than Muffin. And so she hears Dick, but I think kind of buries Dick's words a little and his words fun. and is like, nah, I'm gonna make the best of this. Who knows? They don't know anything. They're all stuck in the same place they've probably been for 20 or 30 or 40 years in Donna's case. I'm gonna be different. I'm unique. There's no one like me. I'm gonna make the most of this, and I'm gonna be the new cart girl. So she sees this as her moment, and so she's out there in the sun. She doesn't smell like a bunch of old dishes and rags. And I think, like, again, this is Muffin we're talking about here. I mean, she's got the goods.
She does have the goods.
And whether anyone likes it or not, the reality is that matters as a cart girl. So I think immediately she's a hit. The 13th hole becomes kind of the social hour of the golf course. There's a line for her cart. She's running out of beer. They're running more carts out to her. Her manager's like, holy crap.
And I love what you've put her on the backside of the golf course. I love you for that. Muffin on the backside.
She is on the backside, the back nine right now. Indeed, which is where her legend kind of grows in this country club.
The poor cart girls up front they're losing money.
They definitely are, and they're definitely jealous of Muffin. But again, the management's like, pipe down, like you take notes from Muffin. Look at her, she's covered in saran wrap. She's sweating, but she's not showing it.
She's like a Donna Jr. out there. She bought that skirt with her first check.
Donna in her prime. Donna was almost president. She had so much power. Then it all faded away.
The orphanages has tartan printed sheets, so she made she pleated a little skirt out of the sheets from the orphanage.
Love that.
She's just playing it up.
Right.
After I made this skirt, I went from making $30 an hour to $75 an hour.
Right, exactly. And that could be a fun montage too of her clothing improves, her ability to serve beer faster improves, the lines get longer, she gets better at small talk jokes. Yada yada, and she's starting to drink the Kool-Aid a bit. She's starting to think she's one of them. John.
No. Oh no.
Exactly. Even though all she really is just a waitress in a field. Like she's not. She's not like some genius or something, some revelation. But
when you're a cart girl and you're selling beers to these drunk golfers, you get intel. You start to, I dated one. It's like, I got this great investment idea, and I know this property. I'm like, you can't afford to invest in a property.
Right.
You don't have a place to live for yourself.
Right.
But the members are like, I tell you what, I heard the CEO talking about varied bonds and Ford's gonna triple X their. She's like, she's
getting on board.
Spitting it back to other members, and she's like, I know how to talk to these people. I speak their language. Lenny, I can't believe you sliced again. Come on, man, switch to a 9-iron.
Yep, I love it. The regular cart girl comes back, and she's sent to the dish room now.
Yeah, thanks for coming back, but your dishes now. Muffin owns the backside.
Muffin owns the backside.
We had to order more beer.
Right, a new cooler and a bigger cart. So clearly, Muffin has found her calling. Anyway, things are going well for Muffin, or so it would seem. And again, as happens in the heat, drinking, members hanging out, lots of conversations. Certainly, as you said, you could overhear investment tips, which you can't really do much about. Even if you are making $75 an hour, again, she's still just living on the ground in an orphanage. She's not trying to invest in crypto or yachts or moon plots.
She did. She put a down payment on a moon plot. One of the guys was really compelling and said that it was going to be
the moon. He just kept saying that. It's the moon. You're going to say no to the moon.
Here's my guy's card. Just tell him you'll pay him $50 a week for the rest of your life.
The moon.
You can see it from anywhere. I can see it from here.
It's the moon.
So now her $75 an hour, she's making a little less than she did when she was on the dish pit. But she does apparently own some property on the moon. She's really getting bought into this life, maybe getting ahead of herself a little bit. It's right next to a really big crater. Like, you don't understand. That's going to be it's going to be a big draw for people. People are going to want to live near that crater, and I'm going to be taking all their money.
I'm telling you, it's on the sunny side of that crater, outside of the shadow. This is gold. 50x its value. Once we can figure out how to breathe up there. What was that last part? It's the moon. So she's overhearing these kinds of things, but maybe she's also overhearing some other stuff, things that don't quite make sense to her at first, kind of mysterious statements, almost sounds like code. And maybe she hears it to like another cart girl who walks by. One of the members is saying things like, I'll take four W's today in the cabana like usual. And she's like, W's? I don't have any W's that are on my
that's
menu.
Coors Light and Corona.
That's right. What's a W? So she's maybe getting curious about this, but again, it's not the top of her mind. Everyone's laughing at her, hanging out with her. She's the talk of the club. And so she notices these weird conversations that she hears in the periphery, but doesn't really know what to do with that information right away. And then, so something should happen here, though, that like pulls on that string hard enough where Muffin can't ignore it. Like she overhears talking with members again, they're sloshed, getting more drunk, and one of them maybe says something like that to her, a member, and I also, could you take this order for me? The other orders, and two members swoop in and are like, hey, you can't talk to her about that stuff. And he gets scooted away.
Ooh.
Something like that, where now she's
he orders something.
Yeah.
Clearly that is not available on the cart.
Exactly. Not a beer, not a margarita.
She's heard rumblings like this, like the 4 W's, but then they make the order to her. And what makes it even more weird is that person's whisked away.
Yes, exactly. The person who places the order is kind of scooped up. Maybe a golf cart appears out of nowhere and he gets put on it. Fred's had a bit too much today, just not making any sense. Well, but I've heard someone order a 4W before. I'm sure you haven't, Muffin, but you have a great rest of the day.
You're doing great out here, kid.
Keep doing what you're doing.
That's a good cliffhanger.
Yes.
To take us, we've just introduced something that even I don't fully understand. So that's a great cliffhanger to take us into Act 2.
Act 2. Now it gets weird.
So Act 2, we just saw a man get whisked away for ordering something from Muffin that he shouldn't. It wasn't anal.
As far as we know.
But that's probably been presented to her a few times.
For sure.
What do? You're rich. Everything is like, these are uber wealthy country club people.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like Caligula, where you're like, what can I can get anything I want. How about you? You gave me a beer. You probably love me. So there's a lot of that happens out on the backside of the golf course. Absolutely. Where Muffin is. So she's been going through this. She's been on the cart girl gig.
Yeah,
doing her
couple
doing
weeks
her cart
probably
girl
at this
gig.
point at least.
She's made a few bucks. She's made a terrible moon investment. And
we'll see.
Exactly what the moon guy would say.
It's the moon.
Just told you. He also sells crypto. So in Act 2's beginning, I want to bring in something that's going to kind of turn the plot up a little bit on whatever the hell your W's are.
Got it. Yes.
Tell me what
W's with some tight T's and some long L's.
Yeah. Okay. Now it sounds sexy. Okay, I'm back in. I'm back in.
There we go. That's
Twin W's with back-to-back L's stuck inside a lowercase p.
Hold the ranch.
It's
interesting. Or is it? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and I think, right, as you said, she's having success, and I think what'll happen one day to kind of again just shoot this story forward and kind of put her in the crosshairs of all this craziness going on at this country club, John, is once again something simple. So her cart breaks down. It happens. Maybe it's a bum tire, or the
screwdriver came loose.
That's right. Exactly. Well, I should have gotten keys at this point, shouldn't I? But as it is, breaks down. So she needs to take it to the maintenance shed to get a replacement part or find someone to help her fix it. Whatever. She doesn't quite know what to do. It hadn't happened yet, so she's just kind of making it up as she goes. And no one's at the maintenance shed, so she goes in looking around for an extra wheel or a screwdriver or some keys, and moves around a couple things in the back as she's looking for a tool shed and notices maybe like a lever in the wall or just a shelf that looks a little bit weird and maybe some light coming out from behind that wall, almost like a crack.
Okay, so this is curious.
Right. So she's kind of like, what's going on here? Maybe the screwdriver I need is in this secret door. Opens it up and it's led to like, I'm imagining kind of like a long staircase and a hallway. And now she's going kind of under the country club in a secret passage and is totally kind of dumbfounded about this. Like, what am I seeing? Why is this here?
Bones.
Okay, it could be full of bones.
And inbred German shepherds.
Full of pamphlets that say invest in the moon now. It's kind of blowing around. Moon rocks, the currency of the future.
So her cart breaks down. She tries to fix it herself to close out her shift and make some money. She finds a secret staircase.
Yes.
In the maintenance shed.
Yes.
As any muffin would, she investigates.
Of course.
What does she find at the bottom of this staircase?
Yeah, so exactly. If you were expecting gold or a sauna or just a sex party, nope. It's going to be crazier than all those things combined. A gold sauna sex party.
I don't know. Sex party and a sauna is a terrible idea.
It sounds good on paper, but when you're in there and you
really
can't
slow,
breathe.
you got thrust really slow. It's really hard for me to keep moving.
Right, I'm going to throw up. It is 120 degrees in here. Get away from me. Okay.
You just stay over there and look hot. I'm going to take a nap.
That's right. Someone help clean up my poop. So, okay. So she gets down there at the bottom of this creepy staircase full of pamphlets and bones. And it's a huge room, giant, like maybe the size of a football field, again, underneath all the golf courses. And she's like, what the heck? Is this like the water plant? Like, what is this? How much water do these sprinklers need? Because she sees all these vats lining up, but they're not full of water. They're full of maybe like a greenish type liquid. As she gets closer, I think she realizes these vats have people in them, John. So kind of tubes, just like every movie you see, The Matrix, Independence Day. It's like a tube.
People tubes.
With a person in it floating there, a kind of asleep looking, naked, suspended in this weird green goo. And she's like, again, as anyone would be, like shocked, looking around. What is this? What is this? Is this real? Is this a joke? All kinds of thoughts are firing through her head, and she's maybe having a bit of a panic attack probably at some point, and she's surrounded by just vats of naked people. And as she's panicking and kind of stumbling around, trips, maybe falls down, looks up at the vat in front of her, and a cart girl that she replaced, someone that looks like her at least, is sitting in that vat asleep, hooked up to a bunch of tubes and stuff. And she's like, holy crap, that's the cart girl I replaced.
So Muffin is more nervous than she was before Donna first saran wrapped her boobs.
Absolutely.
She sees people in tubes in an underground sort of science lab, and she thinks she recognizes one of them,
Yes.
the cart girl that called in sick.
Yeah.
What does Muffin do? Does she start taking pictures on her?
Well, that's not a
Android
bad
phone?
idea. Yeah, she tries to pull that out, but it falls apart.
Loading.
Right.
Damn it.
It's not working. No
Battery's
service.
dead.
That can't work. Yes.
Does
Stuff
she
like
break
that.
in? Does she decide she's going to crush the tube? If I'm trying to think, if I'm Muffin, what am I going to do in this
Sure.
situation?
I think she's in the middle of that, of thinking like, what can I do? What is this? Is like, what am I seeing? And as she's trying to form some kind of plan, she hears the unmistakable sound of a door opening and shutting quickly, and the kind of pattering of feet walking kind of her direction in muffled voices. And she's like, oh shit. What the heck is that?
Right. The W's are ready.
And right here's that conversation. A bunch of T's with some long L's and covered in ranch. They need that in hole 18. So he's like, what? Oh my God, that sounds like the order that guy tried to make at my cart. What are these guys orders are they taking down here? Who are these people? And maybe she's, looking around trying to see who's talking. She bumps into something. It makes the noise. And she's like, oh shit. And these two scientisty looking guys, are like, what was that? Is somebody down here?
I'm just imagining poor Muffin working all day in the sun, slinging beer,
covered in
saran wrapped boobs, sweat, cold down here. It's probably air conditioned as fuck down here.
It's as fuck. Yes,
starting to get now. Oops, I broke something, and now the scientists, what is that down? Now she's getting investigated. She's probably scared as F.
Oh yeah, and she bolts out the secret entrance she found, which is maybe also like kind of a secret entrance down there. So like she's like a moving bookcase or whatever behind some oxygen tanks. So she kind of sneaks out the way she came in, as the members were, I guess, to assume, start coming her way. So she bolts out of there just before she's seen and is scooting back up to the maintenance shed. And again, just like heart racing, sits down kind of near her cart, and is like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Who do I turn to? What does this all mean?
Where do you go when your life starts crumbling around you? If you're a young orphanage girl, you go to Dick.
You find Dick. Find the Dick. You hunt for the smell of Virginia Slims, knowing Dick is nearby.
Or Donna, but I think it's okay. So she's just discovered this new plot twist in the film, and of course she would rush to like her most the captain of the ship.
Exactly right. The only person that's ever seemed to care about her, offered her advice, all that stuff, and she didn't really take it. But now she's like, I need Dick. I need Dick.
Finally, I'm on the other side of this. It's been offered to me constantly since I got here.
I understand.
Now I need to find actual Richard the Dick. And this is a great point for us to take a quick break and introduce a mid-movie mashup.
Good Lord, that's right. It's time.
So whatever you thought you were doing with this movie, Harrison, we're about to spin the wheel of fate, so to speak.
Indeed we are. We're going to mash this thing up and see what the high hell happens.
So here's what I need you to do for me, Harrison. I need you to pick a number 1 through 6. That's going to determine the type of crazy prompt that we have to integrate into this movie.
I went middle of the road last time, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, so I'm not going to do that.
Thank you.
I'll go, let's do 6.
6, okay. So we've got a total of 73 prompts that I've written so far.
Unreal.
And 6 takes us to the wild card prompts.
Hell yes.
Now I need you to pick a number between 1 and 12.
Ooh, let's also go all the way to the top. Give me 12, John.
12. Oh boy.
Shit.
It's a very beer me that movie prompt. I'm going to interpret it for the film we're making.
Right.
Muffin discovers that the sexy nun is actually an undercover agent working for an unexpected faction.
Oh, God. The sexy nun's coming back. Okay. All right. Let me...
So, when I wrote that prompt, I probably assumed that we would have a sexy nun in every single film, Act 1. In this case, I think the sexy nun would be Dick.
Okay.
The Dick is the person that's kind of been her sexy nun.
I like
her
that.
Gandalf.
Perfect. Her Gandalf.
So,
yes.
To reinterpret that prompt, Muffin discovers that Dick is working for an undercover faction.
Okay. All right.
As we come into the midpoint of Act 2.
We can work that in. Yeah, we can work that in. So that's all right. So I was going to change Dick's role a bit, but we're good. We've got that. Dick's could change. All right. So with
no,
that,
they can't.
Yeah, right.
Dicks can age.
Yeah, that's different than changing.
Well, if you got Bill's banana hammock on, they can change.
I guess. See, there you go. Just a little bit of magic. All right. So let's keep that in mind as we build out what the heck Dick does moving forward. That's good. Okay. All right. So Muffin is going to rush to Dick because that's the only person she trusts and confront him about all this stuff. And maybe like he's leaving for the day, heading out to his car, and Muffin just runs towards him and is like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I just saw what I just discovered. Like, I need to tell somebody, what I trust. And Dick's looking around, being like, quiet, just get in the car. And
what kind of car is Dick driving as the head chef at this country club?
He's driving a Buick LeSabre? Is
perfect? Yep. Back seats are full, old towels and dirty
cigarette
chef
burns.
coats. And,
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Cartons of stuff.
Sit in the front. Sit in the front.
Don't look back there. Smells interesting. We'll just call it interesting. All right. That's right. It's my grandma's car.
Was.
I didn't buy this used.
Yeah. This is my inheritance.
So sitting in the front seat of this Buick LeSabre and with velvet, like those velvety seats, kind of
really comfy. Burn holes all over.
over them. Okay. So, and what do you think?
I had that ashtray pre-installed. That's an
a big one.
aftermarket ashtray. It holds all of them.
Can hold a whole carton of Virginia Slims. That's what they said. The infomercial. That's right. The extra ash. Okay. So, and what do you think? Does Muffin spill the beans? Is she scared to tell Dick? Is she just at this point like, I got to get this out of my brain and have someone else tell me I'm crazy and made this up?
I think Dick's been through this before.
Okay.
And so Muffin gets in the car and he's like, and Dick just starts on the speech that you can tell is well rehearsed. He's like, look, kid, sometimes when you're out there cart girling, the guys can get a little handsy. People are going to ask for things that you don't really have any need to give them. They're going to ask for things that are almost physically impossible, but you'd be surprised what you can fit. But he's like, most importantly, your job is to give them a beer, take their money. And yeah, if they leave with a little bit of fantasy, then hopefully you get extra money for it. But trust me, like, it's no big deal. No one hurt you. You're fine. She's like, and then she like interrupts. She's like, shut up, Dick. I've got something big to tell you. Something really big.
Bigger
you
than
couldn't
you've ever
believe
seen,
this. There are people underneath the country club. And he's like, yeah, I know. That's one of us. Like janitors, all the like that's where the maintenance guys keep their. No. They're like growing people in glass tubes full of goo down there. Like I saw people in tubes, and one of them looked like the car girl that I replaced, Jolene.
Oh, drops the bomb. Yes. I love that. And does Dick kind of like freeze in a moment, just take a long drag off his Virginia Slim down to the nubbin,
right down to the filter. You see the whole, because they're like kid cigarettes. You see in one drag, the whole cigarette just right down to the filter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Whole carton fits in this ashtray.
Yeah, that's right. All right. And he goes, oh, okay, all right. You went behind the shed, didn't you? And you saw something you shouldn't have. And maybe just kind of shakes his head for a couple of minutes, like he doesn't know what to say. And perhaps his advice, his demeanor totally changes, and his advice is just kind of like, Muffin, you got to forget about what you saw down there. You don't understand it. You can't understand it. You won't understand it. I can't explain it to you. But I can try. And Muffin's like, well, yeah, please try. And he takes a whole other Virginia Slim, drags it all the way down to the filter. It's like, listen, these members, they're more powerful than you or I could possibly imagine. They've figured this out. They figured out how to clone people, and they're cloning them to pleasure themselves.
So I hate this prompt, but so Dick gives away kind of the twist here. And he lets Muffin know that underneath the country club is a human cloning operation, and they're being cloned for probably sexual pleasure.
100%.
And
can't be satisfied. We don't need to talk about this in the movie directly. It'll kind of pop up here and there, but I'm kind of imagining like, okay, they've mastered cloning. Part of that is like they get to basically live forever, certainly live longer, replacing organs and crap. So now all these members, a downstream effect of new blood, new kidneys, new liver, is like basically you're walking around as a 60-year-old dude, but with like the boner of an 18-year-old boy. like you're just
that
ready
was the
to
goal,
rock.
That was the
Right.
goal.
And so
I want an 18-year-old boner, no matter how old I get.
And so to feed this like unsatiated, unsatisfiable thirst for boning. They were like, all right, well, let's just make people that all they're designed to do is pleasure us as we live forever. Blah, something like that. And again, we don't need to say this here, but I think it's important for everyone listening to kind of know that like that's a part of this bigger picture here is like that's why they've resulted to this is making people for pleasure is because they think they're going to live for thousands of years. mostly on the moon. They need to figure this stuff out. And be ready.
So now that we've kind of wild card prompted this one, I think it's fair to say that the members are a little more evil than typical.
Oh yeah.
And I think in this case, let me know if I go astray. I won't edit this out, but you can dial it back.
Okay.
So I think in this point, Dick says like, look, part of the reason I got to where I got is because I know how to make things happen. So if you really like, and Muffin's saying like, I'm going to put a stop to this. He's like, you can't put a stop to this. These guys are he's like, come with me. I'm going to show you what these guys do. So he drives out to 17th Street.
Yep.
Goes down by where the kids usually hang out before they have to be in the orphanage.
Yeah.
Grabs 2 or 3 kids, shanks them up, not murders them, but like puts little hoods over their faces and feeds them sleeping candy. Throws them in the trunk of his Buick LeSabre that he got from his dead grandma. And Muffin's like, what do you do? She's like, you shut up or I'll kill you dead. I promise to God I will kill you if you do anything. I'm just showing you how powerful these people are.
Yep.
Steals the kids, brings them back. He's like, these kids go to that farm. The members are using their DNA to create sex clones and to give them 18-year-old boners. Like, this is why you have to keep yourself out of this. You're just here to make money.
Yeah.
You don't mess with these people.
No, I think you're right. I think that's the more powerful message. Dick could all day long tell Muffin how bad they are. If he could just show like, Muffin, you hide in the back, the kids are in the trunk, watch what happens. And Dick delivers them to mysterious member guy in a lab coat and the secret back door of the country club. And they take the kids and are like, perfect. We'll be able to make 15 more with just these 3 alone or whatever.
8 days of boner.
Right. Get ready for boners, everybody. And they all have a weird boner high five and
which is like one finger through another, like
just touching fingertips. And so
I think Muffin's probably like, why would you do this?
Right.
And at this point I just want to say, Dick's like, look, I didn't always have this LeSabre, but one time I said I wouldn't do this, and then I got the LeSabre.
That's
okay.
right.
They will come after everything you care about.
That's
you
right.
can't interfere.
I don't have a choice. I'm a prisoner here.
I killed my grandma. She's all at. Well, now all I have left is the
This
LeSabre.
is LeSabre that stinks. It's covered in cigarette burns. So, right. So it becomes clear that Dick is kind of a prisoner as well. He's not free to do what he wants. He's being tracked. He's being watched and expected to kidnap some of these orphans to use for this creepy DNA clone farm. And so Muffin's a bit panicking right now, but she's still trying to, and maybe even more than ever, like, my God, my friends, these orphans, they're being taken. Like the ones we thought were getting into foster homes, that wasn't what was happening. They were just being taken to this friggin' creepy clone farm. I need to stop this. She's obviously more invested than Dick the cook is. And maybe he senses that, and almost as like a throwaway comment says something like, look, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Like I'm telling you what I can. If you don't listen to me, then it's your life that you're putting on the line. I think the only way that you'll be able to get what you want is if you bang your way to the truth. That's the only way.
Bang your way to the truth.
That's the only way to get through to these people.
Look, these guys only want one thing. They've invested bajillions of dollars in cloning people for that thing.
Right, exactly. And you give it up, for free, you might get somewhere. Maybe you can bang your way to the top and bang this whole thing down. And he's laughing as he inhales another 6 Virginia Slims. The car is now mostly smoke.
He's
Muffin's coughing.
He's got him held together like a barrel of a revolver.
Right.
I gotta do this. I gotta do a 6 lighter for this one.
Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely a 6 Slim night. And so right, so he leaves Muffin with that nugget, that seed, if you will, that gets planted in her mind, and she's like,
Dick leaves Muffin with seed. That's we've created Diabolique.
You're welcome, Brian. So, okay. And so I think she sleeps on it as best she can, wakes up, but that's her plan. She's like, all right, perfect. If I could be sexy cart girl at hole 13 and we jump into the muffin hole in the bushes with the right members. I can find out who's in charge, what's happening, where are these kids going, how do I tear down the system, blah, 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 blah. And that's her plan. And then we get another fun montage of Muffin using the power of her saran-wrapped bod and her sexy pants to just be like let's get it on with a bunch of members. And so we get that montage of that happening, and like they're oversharing, and maybe that's like a glitch almost, and they're kind of perfect, invincible, or immortal bodies is like after they have sex, these members, they like overshare. They have a post-coital reflective period that's way too open, and they always say too much.
Which is fine if they're doing it with clones.
Exactly. Who cares? And that's also probably part of it. Their guard's always down.
What sort of, like, if you're a super rich country clubber in this imaginary town where you're cloning people for the sex that you can't get, what sort of sex things do you think Muffin is doing? Harrison, you can't shake your head no.
Is
there peanut butter involved?
There could be.
Is there candle wax is a very typical, like,
sure. Well, they're in the middle of the golf. I mean, if they have a bag of creepy toys, sure, but I think it's a lot of fun sex moves. The woodpecker, she's getting a lot of tree houses done to her. The over, the under, and the in between.
Muffin, I'll give you an extra $85 if I can poop on your feet in the sand.
Right, exactly. I need to do it in the rough, in the buff, in the bunker. Yeah, she's definitely getting a bunch of ridiculous propositions, but taking them all as they spill the beans, and she quickly kind of can map out, okay, this guy's doing this, and this member's in charge of this, and this one seems to be close to the top and making a lot of the calls. And so, right, as she's getting, the old Ferdinand the Bull from behind, she's writing some notes down.
Nice joint resolution.
About like, all right, so this is this, and this guy's doing this. And she's figuring this whole thing out. She's got a web now of who's connected to who and what, and yeah, getting to the source of it, using the power of her muffin to find the truth, banging her way to the truth, John.
This is great.
It's working. It's working. These guys are spilling the beans as well as spilling some other things.
So what's like, she gets little tips here and there. This is a movie, so what's the big tip that she gets that's like, you know what I mean? Like I like piercing my own nipples, but in a clone farm, sort of, I've divulged too much.
Right. Maybe it could be that they're planning on kidnapping more kids or from the orphanage, stealing their DNA. I don't know, John.
I mean, that's like, I think that's pretty good, because Muffin she's not as corrupt as Dick the cook, who's getting used by these people.
Yes.
She's not as corrupt as these people. And I think you're right. I think learning that they're reliant on regular human DNA to keep this going, and that means they're stealing her, quote, brother and sisters from the orphanage. Non-biological, but I think orphanage people also have the same sort of dishwasher pack that country club workers have.
Absolutely right.
So I think that's enough to get her to think like, okay, I don't fully understand what's operating here, but I don't want you stealing any more of my people, you sick peanut butter licking fucks.
Exactly right. And that also means if they're doing that now, if their plan is to steal more kids from the orphanage, like maybe it just kind of light bulb goes off in Muffin's head of like, I was down in that clone farm for maybe 4 minutes. It was the size of a football field. Like, there could be my friends, like my family down there. I got to get them out.
Just getting DNA sucked.
Exactly right. Harvested for all their DNA, and who knows what happens to them after that.
This isn't a science film. That's how you make clones.
Yeah, you just vacuum up to your body and you suck the DNA out.
Yep.
And then you shoot it into a tube.
Perfect. We've been doing this with sheep for years.
It's like Jurassic Park. It's put in a Barbasol can, and then you. So, yeah, and so I think the way that Act 2 can end is her returning to the clone farm. So now she has more information, understands a bit more, has seen some schematics and like members' phones they left in the bushes so they were doing the dirty deeds. So she has like information, a plan, schematics. She's much better prepared than she was when she stumbled upon this place. And so now she's kind of down there with the goal of like, I'm going to find my friends, other kids in the orphanage, and we're going to get them out of here. Hopefully they're still alive. Maybe she hasn't even had the full thought of like, if only their clones are alive, am I going to free them? Is that like, she can't even get there, but she knows she may be confronted with that reality in minutes. So she'll have to deal with it then, but she returns, I think.
So
she's clone farm.
I think that's a fair place to end Act 2. We began in the clone farm.
Yeah.
We learned a little bit about the mystique of these 6X rich freaks, which is also a good movie title.
Oh yeah.
And then we go back down into the clone farm with the goal and a mission. Like, now I understand what's going on. I'm going to save some people. Okay, so now it's a sex party in the clone room.
Well, I don't think quite yet. I think
there's got to be something like weird or unexpected that happens. If I'm watching this movie, she gets down there and the kids are like, "Thanks for saving me, Muffin.
Right, exactly.
You're great." I'm pissed at the movie.
Exactly. So we're kind of expecting her to like find the clone friends, find them alive, free all the clones. Nope. I think as she goes down the rows of clones, she's getting kind of maybe towards the end, she sees something that blows her mind wide open.
A human-sized penis.
Right. That's in one vat for sure. And she goes, all right.
With balls labeled ranch.
Yep, 100% that's happening.
Dr. Robot works here.
Now I understand that order. Hold the ranch. I'll take extra ranch. Okay, so as she's moving through these tubes of floating clone people, gets towards the end and looks up and maybe lets out a scream or a silent scream, almost passes out as she stares into one of these tubes and the body inside it kind of bobs around. You can see the face. And it's her, John.
Ooh.
It's Muffin. She's been cloned. She's a clone.
Double Muffin.
There's two Muffins. There's double Muffin happening. So she's looking at her own face and she has that realization of like, oh my God, there were so many moments in those bushes when my DNA could have been taken. Maybe it was years before though in the orphanage. We don't know as the audience, I think inclusively, but we see that. We see the moment.
This is where a movie's easier because this is just mostly audio.
Right.
But in the movie, you see an exact replica of like the movie Double Impact with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
There we go. Perfect.
You see an exact replica of Muffin. Like if you're at Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts, you order a blueberry muffin.
Yeah.
They slip you an extra chocolate chip. That's a win.
Oh, yeah.
They slip you an extra identical muffin. That's a clone.
That's a clone.
And that's kind of that's what she sees herself in a cloning tube.
Exactly right.
Freaks me out.
Yeah, and her cloning body's kind of floating there asleep, and I think as her clone face meets her face and they're staring face to face, her clone's eyes open up.
Of course they do. And you hear that too, like something like the music's like rising. It's probably an orchestra.
Yes.
This is an art film.
John Woo is making this film.
Exactly. Like there's 72 string instruments playing the whole clone farm. So I love that we call it a clone farm. Perfect finish. The eyes open up, and that's the end of Act 2, and that's gonna take us into Act 3.
Act 3. Things are heating up.
So we've taken her from the 17th Street orphanage to the country club dishwasher to the cart girl where she was investing in the moon. She's learned about the clone farm. She heard from her mentor sort of guide character, Dick, that don't mess with this.
Yep.
She didn't do that. She messed with it, and she goes down to the clone farm and encounters herself being cloned, which makes sense. It's like she's been banging these people pretty regularly, doing all kinds of weirds, like spit in my mouth and tell me you're my mom. Like they've had plenty of opportunity to get her DNA
all over the golf course.
The sand trap on the 13th hole is basically a clone farm of Muffin.
Dish. Yes, so right. Wasn't careful with the DNA, that's for sure. Right. And so maybe this is the result of that. And so what's gonna happen, John? I mean, I'm imagining so her eyes are open. This clone's eyes, this muffin clone, double muffin, his opens up and sees Muffin standing there freaking out. And I'm kind of imagining like the goo in the tube dumps out of the bottom and Muffin shoots out of the bottom too. Clone Muffin, whatever we're gonna call her. We'll figure that out in a sec.
On the outside of Muffin's clone Muffin, on the outside of her clone tube,
Yeah.
it's labeled like DB10709.
Perfect.
And so just to insert a name here, we're going to call her DB or Dean Bean.
Dean Bean.
From the person that checked this beer in.
Yes.
Dean Bean.
As
Shout
is
out.
tradition. So Dean Bean is going to swoop in as Muffin 2.0. So now we can call Muffin 2.0 Dean Bean. So Dean Bean gets shot out on the ground and kind of stands up. She's a clone. I have to remind myself that she's not a robot, but she may do some robot things. But she's
a human clone, Harrison.
Right.
She's effectively a human that was not born the traditional way.
Got it. So she's staring. So Dean Bean is staring at Muffin. Muffin's staring at Dean Bean, and they have maybe a locked eye moment. And what's going to happen? Do they fight? Do they have a dialogue maybe about kind of good versus evil or why they're there?
So I think Dean Bean, the members have gotten so good at cloning that they can kind of program a little bit of thoughts into a human head. This can be done without a clone being a robot.
Absolutely.
Dean Bean wakes up and she knows this isn't supposed to happen. Dean Bean's whole purpose is the sexual pleasure of the members.
Yes.
And Muffin certainly shouldn't be waking her up. So Dean Bean's like hostile about this.
Yeah.
She's like, she knows how to talk. She's not like a negative 1-year-old. She's a cloned 20-year-old female.
Correct.
You shouldn't be here. What are you doing? You woke me up. And that it kind of turns into this like physical affront where Dean Bean's like starting to throw Muffin into another tube and it's a cat fight. Okay, fine.
Sure.
I try to paint it a different picture.
But they're having a good throwdown, and I think as this is happening, Dean Bean and Muffin and Dean Bean go back and forth. You know, Dean Bean rather is a clone optimized for sexual pleasure, which means she's maybe a little bit stronger, quicker, more agile than Muffin's jacked. And so Muffin's maybe having, even though she's the original, so we believe.
Dean Bean looks saran wrapped without the saran wrap.
There you go. Built-in saran wrap. How exciting. And so this is happening, and maybe as like, and Muffin's losing. I mean, like Dean Bean is beating her up and throwing her around, bumping her into more tubes, and things are not looking good for Muffin. And Dean Bean can say cool clone things like, you know, there could only be one of us, or that's
a Highlander thing.
Right. Okay.
Not a clone.
You're right. I was always the better of the two of us.
That's okay. That's
something
fine.
like that makes Muffin feel like crud.
Yeah. Like two women with opposing views. In this case, Muffin's view is the view of the good of all humanity, and Dean Bean's view is a pre-programmed servant of the members.
Right. And her whole, mantra, her whole prime directive is please the members, please the other, please someone else other than yourself. And maybe as Muffin is laying there on the ground, sweaty, blood on her eyebrow, cut up, bruised, and DB is preparing to do the final blow, she kind of remembers the conversation she had with Dick the cook. It bounces back in her mind. You've got to bang your way to the truth. Bang your way, bang your way, bang your way. And Muffin has this epiphany moment, this eureka moment of like, my God, this poor clone who's built just to please others. What would happen if I pleased her?
Love this. We've created our opus.
Created our own monster.
So Muffin reaches down for Dean's bean and begins to pleasure her.
Exactly.
There's a change that happens immediately where
immediately
she's about to land the crushing blow on her skull, And Muffin reaches down and magically finds the man in the boat. Immediately, she knows right where it is. It's her own.
Of course, she did exactly.
And Dean Bean frozen in an instant, just overcome with the look of what the fuck is going on.
Right.
And then Muffin reaches up, grabs her by the head, and pulls her in for a passionate kiss.
Yes.
And it's working, so she's showing her love, not just sexual pleasure.
Yes.
But of course, this is a movie, so it evolves to cunnilingus.
Of course.
And it's sort of reprogramming. I love this. She's banging her way to the truth. She's also banging her way to reprogram Dean Bean.
Dean Bean.
She's showing her love.
She's exactly right. To the one thing that she wasn't programmed for, affection back, love back, pleasure in return. She didn't know what to do with it. And yet essentially melts her brain, reprograms everything she thought was real. And now Muffin has essentially flipped Dean Bean to be her ally. She's almost like linked, paired with Muffin.
Basically twins, but even more unified than twins.
More unified, sharing thoughts. This could get real wild. I like that. And so all right, it's great, cool. So Muffin has solved this initial problem of how am I going to defeat my clone self? But there's a lot of commotion happening. I'm sure like in this clone farm that's heavily monitored, I would imagine, by like CCTV and stuff. Like now everyone's aware of like, holy crap, Muffin found other Muffin. Let's get down there. We got to shut this thing down. So as they're kind of coming to terms with each other, more members start flooding in, and they're, it's the whole, you can't take this from us. You're supposed to be down here. This is our life, our future.
You exist for our pleasure. We made you.
Exactly. All that stuff is about to happen. And maybe in an act of, whether it's desperation, arrogance, the members are like, all right, we know how to solve this. Things like this have kind of happened before. Release the clones. Let them sort this out. We'll keep our hands clean of it. And so they, start draining a bunch of the tanks of other clones who are, again, there just to please them, whether it's sexual or like, clones, I demand you to kill these two people.
There's like an Asian section. There's a twins section.
The twin section, the long leg section.
That's the double L's. The long leg section's coming out. That's just for Bill, the guy who has a black Corvette. He demanded that he get a whole row of long legs.
He just likes legs. He's a leg
I don't understand. It's like they're Bill's weird looking. It's like 80% leg.
People.
It doesn't even really look human.
Whatever. Bill's a good guy.
Their knees are like eye level.
That's right. You can dunk on Shaquille O'Neal,
but they're really not very tall.
Right.
It's just all leg and then a squished human up top.
Everyone's 5'8".
Bill's a weird dude. Bill's a very weird dude. Maybe there's green people. Maybe there's some there's some vertically challenged people. There's
3 boobs.
Oh, there's definitely a 3 boob. Every clone has a 3 boob version of itself, just in case.
Just for that,
the ranch
request.
Dick, the giant ranch balls and giant human-sized penis
this moment.
flops out. It's waiting for someone to show it love. But the clones are sort of assembling and attacking. The members crack open a bottle of 26-year single malt scotch, as members do.
Sure.
Up to the ballroom. Let's let this get her. I like your point. Like they're not going to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
But someone will. Someone will get their hands dirty.
That's right.
And it's a person that loves getting dirty.
Loves living in the dirt, living in the smoke and the burned out Buickless.
The final, the big double cross. Dick the cook shows up, comes down the members' entrance.
Yep.
And he's got this big speech about how like you weren't supposed to do any of this. This is my creation.
Right.
I've been doing this for 150 years.
This is what I'm really cooking. This was my opus.
Wait, you were serving them human flesh? Right. No, that was real. That was real fish. But I've been. We don't eat humans, but
right. Saying I'm proud.
Shut
of
up.
This. I'm proud of what I've created down here. I like that. So Dick the cook is revealed as kind of the mastermind behind the cloning. How he, as a cook, knows how to clone people, not important.
No, Dick's the ultimate rich.
Oh, okay.
Dick's Oh, well, whatever. It's a podcast. In the movie, we wouldn't say that, but Dick is, it's a podcast, so we can.
Yes.
Dick is the ultimate rich. He's been cooking because he thought he was a good cook. And turns out all he can make is chicken fingers. Everything sucks, but he just wanted to cook because he's already done everything. He created the clone farm. He's making money off the people coming to the club to have freaky clone sex.
Yep.
He's doing moon investments.
He owns the whole
He's
moon.
kidnapping kids for extra kicks.
Mhm.
We don't even know exactly what happened to those kids. Dick is the ultimate bad guy, and I think he goes off on his speech, but he also he releases, the clones are being released, and he says, I'm going to watch my children consume you. Well, not eat you, because we don't eat people, but they're going to murder you and consume your DNA, and we're going to create 100 clones of you and do all kinds of weird, kinky sex shit. Like, I'm going to put popcorn inside you and get you so hot that it pops. Like, we're going to have sauna sex with popcorn in your butthole.
Oh, man.
That's weird.
Been there.
So, like, Dick is going off. We've seen Dick totally flip into effectively Caligula from the Roman Empire.
100%. Yes, I see. Yeah. Never trusted Dick, folks. Yeah, this is proof. So Dick thinks this is all taken care of. Muffin, Dean Bean, they're being surrounded now by all these clones who are half awake, covered in goo, just listening to Dick's kind of commands. And I think maybe at this moment, it's something like, you know, Muffin and Dean Bean kind of look at each other and maybe both hear in their own heads, like, you know, bang your way to the truth.
Yes,
bang
that
your
telepathy.
way to the truth. So they're hearing that and they're going, and they just kind of smile and nod. And then what happens next is hard to describe.
It's hard to put in a film, that's for sure.
It's going to be wild to see this. But essentially, Muffin and Dean Bean are going to bang pleasure in multiple different ways.
Yeah, not bang, but love.
Right, love,
yeah.
right. Love. Again, return that pleasure, that love back to these clones that don't know what to do with it, which essentially overwrites anything in their brain. And as they're doing that, flipping these clones from trying to attack Muffin and Dean Bean to being their allies. And
can you explain the part where Muffin and Dean Bean team up on the human-sized penis?
Sure, they do that. And one grabs the ranch balls and the other one kind of tabletops the shaft. Oh, right. And they just roll around in all the clone goo.
Oh,
and
God, we've done it. We've done it.
Everything else takes care of itself. But that'll be great to get by the marketing team, the MPAA. That's
the story of a girl just trying to overcome poverty.
That's right.
That's what this movie is.
It's a retelling of Oliver Twist, with some creative liberties. So, you remember the movie Annie? Less singing, more. Well, just trust us. All right. So, So what's and I think Dick is watching all this and like starts with the smiles. He's sucking down his Fruity Slims, and the smile fades as like the army of clones that are closing in on Muffin and Dean Bean start just basically hearing the moans and groans of sexy love time, and they turn around and then maybe those clones start pleasuring the other clones and showing them love and affection. And this wall of clones that was heading towards Muffin and Dean Bean have now essentially flipped and are heading right towards Dick as he stands there kind of on top of the control center or whatever, overlooking this entire huge clone farm. And now he's kind of coming to that realization of like, oh shit, I thought I had an ace in the hole.
Literally.
I did it. No holes for me. I'm gonna die. How is the exciting part?
Yeah.
I think pleasure and is clearly a big theme tonight. And the clones just grab Dick. And what do they do? Drag him out to the sand trap, John, and kind of scissor him to death. Like what's gonna
Well, they
happen?
can't scissor Dick to death.
I guess you're right. You can't scissor
he
Dick.
is a human male in this chef-inspired movie. Our last one was mesmerizingly gross. I can't wait to get a review of this. So, in order to murder Dick in the way a sex clone would, Here's how it happens, Harrison.
Let's do it.
The clones take him up to the sand trap, which was
Okay.
Muffin's usual spot to collect information at bartering herself. And the clones sex him to death,
Yes.
which sounds like too much fun for an evil man like Dick to go out. So these clones know that revenge and vengeance is what motivates them, and they're packing the sand trap sand into their sex holes, and
All
then
of
they're
them.
sexing Dick
Ugh.
with their sand-packed hole. I'm sorry if you're listening to this.
That's right. Friction's the ultimate killer, as Dick's gonna find out right
I mean,
here and now.
I don't know if you could bleed to death from sand burns on your penis, but eventually he'll dehydrate.
Yeah.
Because it's just a constant rotation. He's got an army of 100 sand-packed clones
Right.
just wearing him down. And maybe they focus on Dick, but then there's vengeance for other
Exactly.
members,
There's other
too.
members. Yeah. As Dick is just kind of smothered to death. Right. You kind of pan out, zoom out, and see just kind of the whole country club filled with clothed members and completely naked clones chasing them down, and also right cut a legacy them to death. A lot of 69ing, the people's elbow.
Yep.
Lots of stuff happening.
People's elbow. That's a sex move for one of them, for sure.
Right.
Elbow drop me till I'm unconscious, then put your butt in my face until I wake up. Yeah, Lenny was fucking weird.
That's right. But that's the power shot, the money shot of the movie is this kind of chaotic scene of all these sex fiend clones attacking
It's like
the
Suspiria.
members.
Like it's
Right,
I want you
exactly.
to know as you're listening to this, you're listening to a very artful film.
That's for sure. Yeah, we're gonna take the high road here as best we can.
I'm just gonna keep saying artful.
And that'll save us. Right. But so that's what's happening now. This kind of scene of chaos where the clones are winning, smothering the members to death with pleasure, and are victorious. And I think like whether it's a day later, or maybe like a month later, we do a time jump now, I think, to kind of put a bow on this movie where, you
reap what you sow.
There you go.
For sure. But
You do.
So the members, Dick is dispatched. I think I've described that too well.
Yes.
So then as we fast forward into the bow on this final denouement of our art film, explain to me the last scene that people see before they go back out to their cars from the movie theater.
Right, as they're sitting there, throw it up in their popcorn buckets. So something like so the clones are all free. Members are dead, but this isn't a gory scene. I think this is like a month, 2 months, whatever, sometime later. And it starts on, the cute little town around this gated community around the golf course. It's not the members walking out of all these McMansions. It's the clones and their little clone families. They're living the high life. They're driving all the red Corvettes and even Lenny's black Corvette, wherever the hell had the black Corvette. So that's some clones now because all the members are dead and gone. And you zoom over to the actual country club and the golf course. They're playing golf. It's all clones. All the members are, they're gone. I think we'll have a fun moment, a nice moment where it's Muffin and Dean Bean together, and Dean Bean's, ready to go see the world and be a true free person, and to keep things not weird. Muffin's like, I'll stay here. I'll travel when you get back.
Is Muffin? I want Muffin to be sad for that, though.
Okay,
like
sure. She just kind of basically, like you said,
like Dean Bean was her family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes. In many sense is absolutely correct. And so she's not going away forever, but like lived in a tube and wants to see some things. So understand. Have fun out there, DB. Be careful. Do you know how to look for across the street before you cross it? Do you know what money is? Like, should I be teaching you some things?
I know how to get what I want. I got Muffin on the backside.
So I got Muffin on the backside. The orphanage is great. It's a new building. Again, like the world is a happier place for all of these clones. And I think as a final kind of shot, it would be fun to zoom in on a couple of clones playing, some golf. And you hear the familiar sound of the cartwheels being pushed up full of beer, as Muffin did a million times, earlier in the movie. And as you zoom out, and the members, or not the members, the clones come up to the cart to grab some beer. They look kind of behind it to see who's pushing it. And it's not a clone or a member. It's a robot, John. We're gonna take us to the next level, and maybe one of the clones kind of looks the robot up and down as it pulls out a martini and goes shaken or stirred, and then begins to shake it. And
Vibro shake.
Vibro shake. And then one of the other clones goes, ooh, what else can that robot shake? And then
Perfect.
It's just black. So there's, right, everyone's hunting for pleasure, folks. You just got to get eventually to the robot. Don't use clones.
True. Robots are somehow not
Well,
so evil, I guess. Like, we covered classism. We
did.
covered sexual slavery and in predatorship.
Yes.
As a
freedom of choice.
gratuitous sex.
Yeah.
Gratuitous sex is punishment.
Right. Exactly right. It's everything. The alpha and the omega is things.
If that was our last sex comedy in this trilogy for a little while, I feel pretty good about ending it the way we did.
Absolutely.
With a clone of another person sexing a human-sized penis full of ranch balls.
That's a visual they'll never let the public see, but you got to hear it here and see it in your own head.
Very true. This would be a movie on zooass.com only.
You probably have to have our own website for it. Yeah, which maybe we'll do. Maybe it'll be on Beer with That Movie one day. Who knows? But man, oh man, yes, this trilogy that we didn't even know was going to be a trilogy. It feels great to complete it, as they say, to finish, as we have. So I'm exhausted, but excited this exists. We can save closing thoughts for next time. We just came out of a clone sex war. I need a drink.
Yeah. Same. Make sure you tune in next week when we do another Fast Five, and at least one of the movies will be a dystopian circus romance. Until then, peace.
Punch?
Give me your lunch.
Give me
Muffin.
that clone.
Give me your human-sized penis with ranch balls.
Extra ranch.